You ever wake up thinking today's going to be the day I get a $500 fine for washing my own truck in my own driveway? Yeah, me neither, until one Saturday morning when that exact little HOA nightmare came walking up my front path in sensible pumps, wielding a violation sticker like a badge of honor. I'm telling you, that woman, Evelyn Brooks, president of our beloved Sunnyvale Estates HOA, just about signed her own death warrant with that neon orange sticker. And the wildest part, I caught the whole mess on camera, including the part where she lost it so bad she started tearing up her own paperwork in front of half the block. Now, before I get ahead of myself, I've got to ask, where are you watching this from? Because if you know anything about HOA drama, you know it's like reality TV, except the villains live right across the street and your audience is mostly retirees who keep binoculars by their windows. It was one of those mornings where everything was just about perfect. Sun was out, grass looked fake. It was so green the birds were doing their thing, and I'm standing there in shorts and a faded t-shirt, bucket of suds at my feet scrubbing down my F-150. That truck's been with me through the divorce. The move, the new job, the only constant in a world where everything else felt up for grabs. I was half lost in thought trying to get some bird crap off the window when I heard the unmistakable rhythm of Evelyn's shoes click-clack, click-clack, the soundtrack of doom for this neighborhood. Evelyn in her khakis and pressed blouse, oversized clipboard in hand. Glasses perched on the edge of her nose like they're about to make a run for it, just walks up and plants herself right in my business. "Excuse me, Deputy Hale," she says, putting a little too much stink on my title. "You're in violation of HOA Regulation 17.3b. Didn't even give me a chance to reply before slapping that sticker dead center on my windshield. The thing made a sound that just screamed power trip like a starter pistol for the Suburban Olympics. Now, I'd like to say I stayed cool, and honestly I did, but it was more the kind of cool you fake when you're this close to busting out laughing at the absurdity. "Evelyn, this is my personal vehicle. The decal doesn't make it commercial any more than your bumper magnets make your Prius an ambulance," I told her, nodding at her car, which looked like it lost a fight with a magnet convention. I pulled out my phone and snapped a pic, mostly because by then you learn you need receipts for everything. And you're trespassing. HOA rules say you can't issue citations on private property without notice. The switch that flipped in her face was something to see. She sputtered. She tore the sticker in half, left a sticky mess on my glass, all while I just kept the camera rolling. Behind her, half the street was watching Mrs. Henderson peeking out, old Mr. Petro suddenly obsessed with his roses. Evelyn screeched, "You tricked me. You're supposed to just pay like everyone else." And there it was, the slip I needed, admitting she'd been scaring folks into coughing up cash for years. She stormed off, losing an HOA magnet in my gutter, and I called out, "Don't forget, I'll be filing a formal complaint. Have a great day." The best part? The magnet read, "Compliance creates community. You can't make this stuff up." 10 minutes later, my neighbor Derek comes strolling over with 2 beers, shaking his head like he's seen a ghost. 3 years I've been waiting for someone to stand up to her," he said. "She fined me $200 for my kid's hopscotch chalk. I told him I'd dealt with worse real criminals don't scare me, so I wasn't sweating a clipboard warrior. But as the day went on, I knew Derek was right. Evelyn was going to make it personal. That evening, while I'm helping my daughter Emily with her math homework over Zoom, I get an email that makes my stomach drop. Evelyn CCing the entire HOA board, and half the neighborhood accuses me of intimidation, abuse of power, and just for fun calls for a $1,000 fine for harassment on top of the original $500. She wanted an emergency board meeting, 3 days. That's all I had to save my home and maybe my reputation. Derek texts, "She's got 4 votes already." I could feel that old pre-mission tension creeping in 3 days to dig up enough dirt to end her reign. So I did what any stubborn deputy would do, dug through 300 pages of HOA bylaws looking for anything at all. You'd be surprised what power-hungry people leave lying around when they think nobody's looking. Come board meeting night, I showed up in jeans and my department softball shirt just to poke the bear. Evelyn's smile twitched so hard I thought her glasses might actually fall off. The crowd was restless, tired of her routine, but you could see some of them still afraid. She ran her meeting like a prosecutor, even dragging my divorce into it like that somehow made me a menace to society. I raised my hand, calm as ever, and asked, "Can you show us where it says a sheriff's decal makes a personal truck commercial?" She fumbled. "It's implied, but it doesn't say that right." Clara, the quiet, bookish HOA secretary, muttered, "He's right." Evelyn tried to spin it, but the tide was turning. The more she blustered, the more people started to see the cracks. And then Clara surprised everyone. When Evelyn tried to push through a motion for a $2,000 fine, Jim Crawford, who'd sold me my illegal fence paint, spoke up, reminding her she'd approved the color herself. Even Patricia, who wanted Evelyn's job, jumped ship. Still, the vote went against me, and as folks filed out, I caught Clara's eye. She leaned in, whispering, "She's been making up fines for years, pocketing some of the money. I have proof." Before I could ask more, she vanished. Derek texted Clara's scared, but she knows where the bodies are buried. That night I sat in my truck outside Clara's place thinking. Next day I showed up with a box of tea biscuits. I told her, "Call me Marcus. I'm not here to make trouble, just want to help." Her house looked like a retired librarian's dream doilies, books everywhere. She poured tea with trembling hands and finally broke. She'd kept 5 years of records, 2 sets of books. Evelyn thinks I'm just an old woman taking minutes, but I know the power of documentation. She'd tracked $17,000 that never made it to the HOA account. "That's fraud, Clara. Why haven't you said anything?" Before she could answer, there's a pounding at the door. Clara, "Open up!" Evelyn, red-faced, stormed in and accused me of harassment. For once, Clara stood up to her voice steely. "I'm 70, not senile." Evelyn hissed, threatened to expose her for whatever, and left in a rage. Clara was too scared to hand over her records, but I left my card just in case. That night, Derek and I brainstormed. "What about county records?" he said. Bingo. If Evelyn had gotten comfortable, she might have left a trail. Next morning, I hit the county courthouse, used my badge to pull records. Sure enough, 12 grand missing, matching what Clara found. Even better, Evelyn had filed those amounts as consulting fees for a business that didn't exist. Game, set, match. Armed with the info, I confronted Evelyn at her house. She tried to play tough, threatening my custody hearing, reminding me she could ruin my career. Later that day, she made good on her threat, filed a complaint with my department. I got suspended on the spot. That was the low point. Sitting on my porch, Derek beside me, I honestly wondered if it was even worth it. And then redemption. A manila envelope under my doormat. Clara's brass keychain taped to the front. Inside, copies of every fraudulent fine, every family Evelyn had bullied. The next night, 23 neighbors crowded into Derek's garage as we passed out evidence. Nancy Porter went purple. Her $300 leash fine was right there. Ted, one of Evelyn's snitches, admitted she'd paid him $50 to rat out neighbors. Maria Santos, $500 for chalk drawings. It was all there. We planned our move. Tomorrow's board meeting would be a reckoning. That night, Evelyn's lawyer sent bogus cease and desist letters to half the group, but people had had enough. Clara texted, "She knows I gave you the records. I'm scared." I told her to hang tight. The next morning, storm clouds gathered as neighbors carpooled, armed with evidence and stories. The meeting was a circus. Evelyn in her red suit, lawyer, and disgraced ex-cop Travis Boyd at her side. She opened with an attack, calling me a menace, painting herself as the victim. Travis piled on, but his ego was his downfall. When I called out his drinking on duty, he cracked, blurted out he'd been paid off. Clara stood, keychain clutched, and laid out 5 years of financial crimes. Nancy, Ted, the Hendersons, all added their stories. I played a recording of Evelyn threatening me. The room was silent, then chaos. Patricia called for a vote of no confidence, unanimous. Evelyn shrieked, threatened lawsuits. Her lawyer bailed. Security escorted her and Travis out as the room erupted in applause. That night, my truck got keyed. Security cameras caught Evelyn doing it still in her meeting suit, muttering under her breath. I filed a report, got a warrant. By Monday, Evelyn was in court, facing charges. Clara testified, cool as a cucumber, laying out every last dollar Evelyn had stolen. The judge dropped the hammer probation for vandalism, but the real kicker was the IRS investigation for tax fraud. Her assets frozen, her reputation in shambles. Watching her walk out in cuffs, I felt a weight lift off the whole neighborhood. My suspension was dropped, my custody hearing went fine, and for the first time in years, Sunnyvale felt like home again. Clara was elected HOA president. First order of business, refund the fake fines, review every complaint. Derek and I sat on my porch, Emily playing in the street. The neighborhood finally breathing easy. A moving truck pulled up to Evelyn's old house. The new neighbor, clipboard in hand, asked about HOA rules. "We've got all the chaos worked out," Derek said, grinning. "Ask anyone about our last president, and that, my friends, is how you dethrone a suburban dictator. But freedom's a funny thing, there's always another would-be tyrant waiting. Got your own HOA nightmare. Would you have towed Evelyn's ego straight to the impound lot? Drop your wildest HOA story below. And remember, document everything, know your rights, and never let anyone put a sticker on your life without a fight."